Krista, and welcome to the Wall of Sound. Today we're actually going to be working on marketing our StoryLoom story, and so I thought I would just take a minute and walk you through how to use Canva. And we can use Canva to make a couple of different images that then we can use to we can spread them on like both social media or on like our email newsletter, which we were working on before. So let's take a dive down into Canva. So if you've never used Canva before, don't freak out. It's actually really simple and easy to use. You just have to log in and get an account and get started. So once you log in, you can create a free account. Basically, the free account, there's some things that you can't get. And so what I suggest is basically just like use it. If you find yourself like making these small purchases that are eventually going to add up to the price of Canva and it's worth it for you, then get it. I, for a long time, didn't have like a paid version of this. So you'll see a few more bells and whistles on this, but for the most part, like you can do a lot of this stuff for free. So when I come over here to Canva and I've logged in and I have my account, so you can actually just click right up here, something that you want to design. You can already see a lot of the different things that I've designed before. This was actually something for like the Nebula Awards. Some of these things, like that's a StoryLoom Sidekick Bakery, actually, where I was trying to basically take this image that Lee Moyer had made and mark it as completed, so then we could use that on the story. I was not a super fan of how that turned out, so I'm still working on that. You can also see this background even exists as something that you can make on Canva, which you can see up on top too. So as we look through on Canva, let's say that today we're going to work on designing a, how about a Instagram story? Okay, so if you start typing in here and you write Instagram story, you can see it start to pop up here, right? So you have a choice between a video and a story. Let's just try designing a story here. So you've seen those some of those Instagram stories that are like way more designed. You can make some of those things on your phone. You can just create them directly on there if you want to get a little fancier, or sometimes if you just want to do it all in one place, like this is usually a good place to do that. So you can look at some of these different things, some of these different designs that people are already using, and think about how you might want to use them. Otherwise, you can pick one of these templates that already exists, or you can make a template entirely of your own. We already know that we're going to use one of those circle signs that I have, right? So I'm going to make one for Flower Shop for Heroes today. And so I already know I have that Flower Shop for Heroes sign. So as I'm looking through these templates and I'm thinking about like what I want to do, what I want to design, I'm looking through these and kind of seeing what's already out there. So the basic thing is you don't need to reinvent the wheel, but if you're using one of these that's already made, you do have to keep in mind that other people will have used these also. So this one's kind of a fun one because you can put a picture of the design in there, of the photo in there, and then have the background there. The only issue with mine in particular for the flower shop is it's basically a sign that has a white background anyway. So not going to look super awesome for something that's more photo designy like that. Photo designy is a word, right? I kind of like this one with the idea where you could say something like, reminder, read the new StoryLoom chapter, and then you could put the flower shop picture right down there. So I think we can try this and see what happens here. So let's click it, even though I'm not a big beige fan. But you know what? We get to customize this template. Let's customize this template. So you saw I clicked that customize this template button. And then now this is what an Instagram story looks like, right? It just takes up that whole front screen of your phone. If you look over here on Instagram, I'll show you one that I just did a little while ago. So that's the stories are the ones that are right on the top. So when I click that, that's like a story, right? So it's going to take up most of that page. You can see a lot of times it's pictures. That's me doing something weird. I won't go you through that whole thing, but you'll know that it takes up most of your screen. So keeping that in mind, the only real recommendations I would have in terms of as you're making a design like this is just remember that things might get cut off on those far edges, depending on people's size of their screens, because sometimes it smooshes things down a little bit, depending on like both the size of the screen and what type of phone you're using. So keep those in mind as you go ahead. So this is the template, and we can see that we can go through and click almost any thing that's on here, and you'll see all these things up top start to change as I click those. So when I click, for example, the 10 o'clock time, I can change it to a time that I want, and I can change it to a date that I want. I would right away think about what I was saying, like that beige background is not going to be super easy to see, but it is very Instagram friendly. Everybody loves those in their stories. So let's take a look and see what it does when we click some other colors here. We can always go back to to this color too. So if you want to change a color, you click on the background and you click this button right up here where it says background color. So when I click background color, and I'm going to click it again here. So when I click background color, it brings me up all these colors. You can scroll down and choose some of these. Or if you click this one right here, you can actually go in and choose a specific color. And if you already have a number that you know you're going to use, you can use that down here. Now, you all know that I do stuff for Willamette Writers, and like on Willamette Writers one, we have like a bunch of our brand colors already right here. And you can do that with Canva. You can choose like your particular brand color palette. So in this case, these are my two colors. Guess why? There's other colors that I use that are close to this one right here. I might even add that to my color palette later. But in general, like, as you start to solidify your brand, like you do want to pick some colors that you consistently use throughout. But for now, I'm going to pick something that I like. So I'm a big fan of these gradients down here. Let's make sure that you can see those and what's happening. So the gradients over here are basically, they are all different colors, right? And the setup of those different colors actually makes it so it looks really cool on the screen and on the image when you have it. So I'm gonna take a second, and you can tell I'm moving things around on my screen so you can get a better image of what's happening. So here we go. Now you got almost. So you can see some of those colors a little bit better on the screen. And let me head back over there and show you. So when I click like this gradient, it gives me that kind of changed background there where it goes from one color to another. I like that with this. I think it's a lot more interesting. I think you lose this, so that's something that we'll have to work on. But I think those look cool, right? Now, the kicker I'm going to have though is I'm going to mess with this, right? And you all know I'm going to mess with this. So I'm going to hold off on changing that background again because you're going to see why we're going to change it one more time. So the thing that I wanted to add was, this is marketing for Flower Shop for Heroes, right? So I want to bring in that image that I have that I've been using for the Flower Shop for Heroes. So I'm going to click this Uploads button on the left, and that is where you can upload things that you want to bring in. So you can see I already have that picture of Sidekick Bakery. There's some other things in here too. There's some other pictures and stuff. So those are things that I've already uploaded. The very simplest way of getting something off the internet that you want to take, that you want to use, that you have the rights to, you can have it like already on your computer, which I probably do, or you can do a screenshot of a picture and upload it there. So in this case, I already have an image that I'm going to use. So I'm going to click Upload File. And I'm going to search for it because I am not sure where I have it. So I'm going to click Downloads. Y'all are seeing how this actually really works, how I really work. So Flower Shop, full copy, JPEG. So there's that. Hey, if you're ever trying to decide what to do with all of your stuff that's on your desktop, put it in something called sort and don't do anything. Good philosophy. All right, I'm going to click this Open button. So now you see it popping up over there. You can also see I did the same thing with Sidekick Bakery too. So we got Flower Shop for Heroes coming in. The reason I wanted to bring this in now is the colors I'm going to choose are going to depend on what I'm using over there too. So just something I wanted to keep in mind for you. All right, so we have that image that was designed by Lee Moyer, who's a really great artist. So I can, any images that I want, right, I can download them or upload them over here. And then I can take them and drag them over and put them wherever I want them on the screen. Okay? I'm going to pause for a second because if you, for example, don't have an image that you already want to use, Canva is made for this. Like you come over to Elements here, you click Elements, and under Search Elements, you can write anything. Like I'm going to write Flower Shop and just see what happens because you never know. Click Enter, and there's a literal flower shop, right? And there's one thing that says Flower Shop, and then there is a flower shop. So when we go back and we do some more of our marketing, we have this Flower Shop for Heroes as our base, but we know that we can add any of these other graphics, right? And you can see immediately that they're going to be really great for what we're trying to do. So Flower Shop for Heroes, totally. It's got that whole vibe. We're doing like more of a, you can see right there, it's more of like a medieval sign hanging from the side of a shop. But all of these, I can even write in here, medieval, if I can spell it right, medieval shop or medieval village. And you'll see that I'll start to get some of these things coming through too. So medieval village, see what comes up. And so that automatically gives you some of those pictures that look similar to kind of something that you might have outside in an old-timey village. So that's just to show you that if you already have an image that you want to use, you can do that up here, and we'll probably do that in the future too. But for this one, we're just working with the image that we already have. So I uploaded that image over here, right? I dragged it over here. Now everything looks super stupid. So the first thing I'm going to do is something slightly more complicated, but worth it. I'm going to first crop the picture because on this, I don't need my name and a cozy fantasy here. I just want this Flower Shop for Heroes sign. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to double click it, and I'm going to edit my photo, and I can go like that. And look, now I trimmed off those edges. Now you're like, yeah, sweet, Kate, that still looks kind of weird because it's got all this white stuff around it. So we can do it again. Let's double click it. And now under Effects, you saw what I did? I double clicked it. I went to edit the photo, and under Effects, there's something called a BG remover. So when I click this BG remover, it's a background remover. Look what happened. Yeah, so now we got this great Flower Shop for Heroes sign that we can move around and use however we want, right? Now, so far so good, kind of. Because this is like this whole thing that's going on here is a particular like kind of feel to it, right? What I kind of want to do is I want to see how much longer that phone is. So that gives us a little bit more room, right, that we can work with. We don't want to do it too much, but we will move it up a little bit. So, hey, I don't like what I was just doing. So I'm going to push Command Z, and I'm going to get things back to where they were. I use Command Z literally all the time in most of my stuff. But now I know I want to have this here. But let's say I want to move everything on the screen up. If I wanted to do that, which you do in this case, I'm going to select all of these, and then I can just literally move it up like that, right? So let's go like that, and let's call that chill. That gives me a chance to put this down here. I'm going to shrink it just a smidge, move it to the center, and we're getting there. You're still like, okay, I don't quite like it. That's fine. I don't quite like it yet either. We'll get there. And for those of you who are wondering, you can definitely start changing your colors so they match this. That's one of those things that's 100% completely bothering me and that we'll want to fix. So when I come over here, let me see. I I think I half like this design, so I want to move this up just a smidgen more before we continue. So you can see how I just grab it and I can drag it, or I can do this thing where I'm not going to do that. Hold on one second. I can move this to the back. I'm going to put the layer, and it's already pretty far back. I was basically just trying to, yeah, I'm going to move it out of the way. We're moving it out of the way. We're doing this old school. So if you drag and collect the things that you want to collect here, and so now I have them selected, I can just move those up. And I just wanted to move that up a little bit so that has a smidge more space, so it just looks better. So now I'll move this guy back. Come on, my friend. Now, interestingly, in this design, which I do actually like, the phone in the phone, it gets a little meta. Anybody who is actually reading their Instagram stories anyway is like, oh, it's a phone in a phone. And then later on, I'm going to take a picture of it and take a picture of it and get super meta because I'll be like, the phone, picture of the phone, picture of the phone. Anyway, so we have Flower Shop for Heroes there. We have the reminder. This is kind of, doesn't quite fit the whole thing, but I like how it's working because it just reminds people of the actual story. So let's look at over here. All right, so we got reminder and read. Whoops, I forgot. I wanted to just double check and see if that was all caps or not. So read the next chapter of, I'm gonna go to the next line, Flower Shop for Heroes. All right, so we got that. It can be 10 a.m., why not? Now let's change the date and then we'll change those fonts because those are so tiny. Maybe we'll try black first and then we'll come back around and edit that in a minute. Let's make it black just to make sure y'all can read at least a little bit of what I'm writing here. So we got them in black. Okay. They're so tiny though. We'll make it bold so you can see it. Okay, so what day is today? June 28th. So, oh, that's not too far. So let's make it June 29 and we can use it tomorrow. And tomorrow is a Thursday. Thursday, June 29th. Now I'm not a super big fan of how bold that is, so I'm going to edit it for now. Because this is like a very dainty and delicate thing that's going on here with this design. This does not feel dainty or delicate, so I might actually end up not doing that. We'll decide later. What I can show you is I can show you some different versions of it, and that we can ultimately decide what we want to do. Good plan? Sweet. So, so we have Tamako over there. Hello, hello. And we have Coffee Quills. How are you? And good to see you both on here. So StoryLoom is all about like making choices. And right now we're working on like the design of how we, just how we can market some of these things. And I had lost my stream chat, but you're back. And I'll move this over so I can see the chat a little bit better. So coming in here, we have the, what we can see is we can change those colors like we talked about. So let's see what we got. We click on that background and we click over here on the background color and it automatically brings up some of these photo colors here so we can change them and decide what we want to use, right? So we got some gradients that we were looking at before. Let's see how bad this one looks. 3, 2, 1, push the button. It's actually not terrible with that. That's not too shabby. Not too shabby. Okay, well, we'll think about that one. That wouldn't usually be my favorite, but since this is so many like browns and reds and things, it actually looks better on there. And 3, 2, 1. Nope, that's too much red and orange. 3, 2, 1. That's not, it just doesn't kind of look quite right. Now let's try just a default plain background there. That's kind of cool. Actually, I'm a big fan. So let's do one more thing. These are some of the colors that were actually already in the Flower Shop images. So you can see how they naturally blend in a little bit better. I personally, so far, am the biggest fan of, I weirdly like this orange one actually. It's just a little bit different. It's got some good, yeah, some good colors there too. Okay, well, let me try and see what I got. So, we got this up, we got this. So far, it has our reminder, read the next chapter of Flower Shop for Heroes. We have the image in there. We have this right there. Overall, like, I think this is pretty interesting. It actually has a pretty good look to it. Let's go, we'll duplicate it. So if you just click on it, you can duplicate a page, right? And I can change that colors right here again. And we can see if there's a one that we prefer over the one that we chose. So far, I don't know, that orange is looking the best to me. And nobody's screaming in chat yet. Although that one looks pretty cool. This is a tough call. This is one of those things where you go, that looks cool, that looks interesting, maybe, possibly. And this would be our last choice. That one's pretty plain, but that's interesting too. Alright, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go orange. Nobody's yelling. I love that. It's not awful. Yeah, I know, right? The thing is that this is such a modern design here, and that Flower Shop for Heroes is not really the right like the right style there. Like this is a very design, very elaborate, and then this is a very like modern looking design. That was why I was leaning towards. I'll show y'all one more thing. If I duplicate this one more time, and let's say I don't use that, bye bye Flower Shop, sorry to see you go. And I go with what they were already doing, which is this one. And I move these guys down back where they started, because remember we moved those a little bit. We can go like this. And we also have that. So I believe these might have been down just a little bit further. Alright, maybe right there. Okay. So, because y'all are on the stream, you get to decide, do we want something that's a little bit more fun on the background of a little bit more summery feel, or, and you know I'm a big blue fan, but the last one of, so do we want this one or do we want this one? This one has our Flower Shop for Heroes, but this one feels a little bit more straightforward and modern. So you got the choice in the chat, put it in. Do you want to keep the flower shop sign or should we ditch it for this particular story? I'll give you a second to decide while I look and decide what I think too. There's also the possibility of taking this out over here, moving all of this down and putting this up here. Boop. Do, 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 do. Sound effects included. All right. The purple peachy color is pretty nice. All right, you win. Boom, boom. I'm not precious. I like this. So this is a very simple design, and like we talked about, like when you're making these designs that you're going to use, so you might want to stick with something that feels more like your brand or more like what you're talking about. In this case, I wanted to get the Flower Shop for Heroes in there. We saw that like the design I chose, ultimately the modern feel of it doesn't really work with that chapter. Sorry, not with that chapter, but with that sign. So I think this look is ultimately better. So I'm going to use this for tomorrow and we'll put that up. So the last thing I would do is double check that I got the right dates. And we got a time on there. And then we do our last check for read the next chapter of Flower Shop for Heroes. Sweet. All right. Now, there's one other thing to know, and I'm going to duplicate this for myself just in case. So in Instagram, you can actually take these out here, and I'm going to show you why. because in Instagram, there's actually an ability for you to add a reminder in an Instagram story. So when I go to an Instagram story, there is, once you have a picture laid out on your Instagram story, which of course mine's going to be a bunch of books, right? So once you have your books on there, you can choose up top where the little sticker button is. There's actually an ability for you to choose things like reminders, things like questions, things like mention. So I'm going to look at those a little later and decide if I want to add that in right there. So that's why we're going to do two versions of this. I'm going to have this version and I can see if I like that, or I can see if there's a sticker that I want to add in. So always give yourself kind of that flexibility. So once you've got that there, the beige minimalist reminder notification smartphone Instagram up top, I'm just going to rename it, and I'm going to name it Flower Shop for Heroes Reminder Instagram Stories. All right, and we got it there. And so that's that. And so now we have that up there, and that'll save it as that, and it saves it as we're going to. So we got it right there. So the last thing you want to do is under that share button on the top right, you can click download, and it'll give you options usually if you want to do a PNG or a JPEG, just depending. So I'm going to do a PNG in this case, and I'm going to download it. Boom. So you all have participated in us making this reminder, this little piece of marketing for our StoryLoom story. So then tomorrow I'm going to take this, actually late tonight, I'll take this and I'll put it up on my Instagram, right? And I'll try it out with the little reminder or with the reminder from the Stories app itself. But you can see it downloaded on the bottom left there. And so now I have it and I can upload it onto my Instagram. But that is all for tonight. I just wanted to take you through a go round of basically, us trying something out. Next time, tomorrow, the next day, we'll do a little bit more where we're kind of building up that marketing and kind of showing people what's coming out and what they want to see. So we have our reminder going up for tomorrow about reading the next chapter of Flower Shop for Heroes. But for now, have a great night, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for stopping in.